So you remember last week they were talking about it's the hottest in the world. It was the hottest. Everybody's over.
Last week?
Or was it? When was it? It was just a couple days ago. They were saying it's the hottest in the world. The whole world's hotter than it's ever been. It's hot everywhere.
Is this different than the last time, not long ago, when they were like measuring an airstrip where like jets were taking off? Is this like a new thing of that?
This is like that.
Okay.
So he says the most intense. This guy tweets out. He says the most intense climate lie last week. So last week, Kurt. It was all over the news. Temperatures in southern Europe skyrocketing to 48 degrees Celsius, but none of it was true. Look, I'm going to be honest. You lost me at Celsius.
Is it cold?
If it ain't Fahrenheit, it didn't happen. That's how this is America.
Goddamn right.
So what is, hey Siri, 48 degrees Celsius is what Fahrenheit?
Well, that is hot.
Wow, that's hot then.
That's probably hotter than Mexico.
A little bit. 118 degrees Fahrenheit. But none of it was true, says this guy. What we experienced over the past days was the most intense climate lie since temperature recording began, reported Germany's Achtung Rückert here on the implications of the ESA's sloppy, manipulative press release and the media firestorm that ensued. What? Huh? You're telling me that it wasn't true? It wasn't the hottest? The problem with that report is that none of it is true. In Sicily, the temperature reached only 32 degrees Celsius over the weekend, a far cry from the 48 degrees Celsius, which illustrates the great difference between ground surface temperature and readings taken 2 meters above the ground. Land surface temperature is how hot the surface of the earth feels to the touch. Air temperatures, given in our daily weather forecasts, is a measure of how hot the air is above the ground. The ESA did not bother to mention how the surface temperature is much hotter than the 2-meter air temperature. So what everybody was screaming about last week was some report that didn't take the air temperature, but took the ground temperature. That's not what they normally do in a weather forecast. Weather forecasts take the air temperature. So we've always heard that. I know when I watch football games and they play on artificial turf, they'll go, oh, it's 95 degrees, but on the turf, it feels like 120. They'll say that all the time, or they used to anyway. I think they're getting rid of AstroTurf because it heats up too much. And so the AstroTurf way hotter than the air above the AstroTurf. And so they released the ground temperature because they knew that would scare the hell out of people more, Kurt.
Well, that's how you give people a nudge. With intense fear, always.
So the hysteria was started when climate sensationalist media outlets in Germany and elsewhere, like the Spiegel, uncritically cited a sloppily manipulatively formulated July 13th report from the European Space Agency, the ESA, that first referred to air temperature. You know what? By the way, do you know in German, Spiegel means mirror?
Yeah.
But I guess it's like one of those trick slim down mirrors they have at the Lane Bryant. That's what I think. So here's what they said. This is from the Spiegel. Temperatures are sizzling across Europe this week amid an intense and prolonged period of heat. And it's only just begun. Italy, Spain, France, Germany, and Poland are all facing major heat wave, with air temperatures expected to climb to 48 degrees Celsius on the islands of Sicily and Sardinia, potentially the hottest temperatures ever recorded in Europe. The original ESA report continued, only later specifying that it was in fact referring to surface temperature, not air temperature. The animation below uses data from the Copernicus Sentinel-3 mission's radiometer instrument and shows that land surface temperature across Italy between 9 and 10 of July, as image clearly shows, in some cities, the surface of land exceeded 45 degrees Celsius, including Rome, Naples, Taranto, and Foggia. Along the east slopes of Mount Etna and Sicily, many temperatures were recorded at over 50 degrees Celsius, but that's the land temperature. That's not the air temperature.
So they weren't. I mean, I missed it. They were not in any way saying this is the hottest land temperature. They're purposely conflating it with the air temperature.
That's what it looks like to me, Kurt. Meant here were not the standard temperatures recorded at 2 meters above the ground level that we always hear in daily weather reports, which are much cooler, but rather those right at the ground surface.
Okay.
The crucial difference went totally unnoticed by media and journalists who reported of new record high temperatures. By the time the ploy was exposed by careful readers, the news had already gone around the world.
As the hottest, the winner of the... So they transitioned the numbers that then beat the biological numbers to become the hottest.
So it's like that old saying that a lie can make its way around the world before the truth gets its pants on.
Well, yeah, if you own the media.
That's right. Yesterday, the ESA issued a vague clarification explaining the difference between surface and air temperatures at 2 meters above ground, yet continued to mislead. Land surface temperature is how hot the surface of the earth feels to the touch. Air temperature, given in our daily weather forecast, is a measure of how hot the air is above the ground. The ESA did not bother to mention how the surface temperature is much hotter than the 2-meter air temperature. So let's just cut to the shit. Let's cut the shit. Should I glue my head to a Rembrandt or not?
Thank you.
So somebody put this together. I saw this on Twitter. So here in 2017, same temperatures. We're all green now. Look, they're trying to. So the implication here is they're trying to scare the hell out of everybody. Oh, we're climate change, and they're using climate change to control you, to get you to not eat meat anymore or organic food, to get you so they can control your food supply, so they can control your digital currency, the way you travel. So it seems to me that the establishment wants to scare us about climate change so they can use it to screw us over in certain ways. And that's what it seems like to me. Now, I wish my friend, who is a climate, what do you call what are weathermen called? They're called meteorologists.
Meteorologists, yeah.
And he knows a lot more about this stuff than me. I invited him on the show. He couldn't make it. So I'd like to get him to push back. So, because I would like someone to push back on this story.
Mm-hmm. With an explanation. And I won't even dignify that.
Right. So, because what I say is that I was 100% on board with climate change and everything the establishment said about climate change and what we needed to do until COVID. Until COVID, I was like, oh, so they can lie right to your face and ubiquitously, from the president of the United States to the head of the FDA to the head of the CDC to every news agency to every newspaper to every host on cable show, everyone could ubiquitously lie to you, not just about one thing, but about 10 million things, and they're the biggest things in your life. And so that also after Russiagate. Now you see that Russiagate it's revealed from the Durham report that Russiagate was a hoax 100% made up by the FBI and the Clinton campaign, and that everyone knew it at the FBI, and so did Barack Obama. And nobody knows. So what if they can pull that off? They can pull off Russiagate and make people think that everybody still thinks that Russia overthrew our election, including my brother. What do you want to say, Kurt?
Because I believed I was like, there's
Russiagate.
No, not Russiagate. No.
What, climate change?
Yeah. There's not two sides of this. All the science says
That's
it's
right.
happening.
I was the same way.
So I guess around the time when I found out that carbon footprint thing was from BP is when I was like, hey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What? You're going to lecture everybody about an oil company
is going to lecture about your carbon footprint. That's what you're saying.
I used to smoke Marlboro. They never had the balls to lecture me about my tar footprint.
So I started to notice this when Bill Gates he says that we have to eat bugs and we have to change our life, but he still flies around on private jets. And he said, "Well, I buy carbon offsets." Well, if you thought jet travel and stuff was actually making us have climate change, you would stop doing that, no matter how, and you would just go ahead and buy all kind of carbon off. You wouldn't still fly around in a private jet.
Can I just to be fair to Bill Gates, he does look like a guy who eats bugs.
Yes, he does. But it's like I don't, I keep the faucet going in my bathtub 24/7, but I buy water. I buy water offsets.
I light big forest fires every year, but then
I buy. You don't have. But the point is, you don't have to fly around the world in a private jet, so you don't have to. So that's my big point. I see all these people, and the first thing they want to do to fight climate change is shut down Dutch farms. Now they're shutting down German farms, killing 200,000 cows.
Yeah, that's not weird.
First, what? And that is weird. Yeah, I know, right? And so the biggest emitter of carbon in the world is the U.S. military. We have 1,000 military bases around the world. They say 800, but a lot of them are secret. So let's go with 800. Nobody is proposing they shut down 600 or 700 of those military bases. Those are the biggest climate emitters. Nobody's proposing that, but you want me to change my lifestyle first? I'm going to say F you. I will start doing things to fight climate change the way the establishment wants me to when they first start shutting down, 100 or 200 military bases that they have around the world. Until then, you're full of shit and you're using climate change to control me. And I'm going to tell you, here's another thing. They're not going to stop burning oil until there's no more oil in the ground. So this idea that we can fight climate change, I think is a loser. We're not doing anything to fight climate change. They're not. They're making up this pretend stuff. Oh, goal 2030 or whatever. They're 2050. We got to have they're going to burn every last barrel of oil. You and I know it. They just stopped putting windmills off in the ocean because of inflation. They can't. It's not economical anymore. So they're not doing it anymore. That's all over. The windmills in the ocean, they're all gone. They're all done. I just read an article today about it. So
look, they blew up Nord Stream. That the biggest. If you put that much greenhouse gas, I didn't know that's the biggest ever by man in
ever
one shot.
In one shot. So, and those are the same people who are telling me we have to do things they have to shut down Dutch farms. We have to kill 200,000 cows. Those are the people telling us that we have to shut down family farms. I don't believe them. And so I'm not going to do. And by the way, when you recycle. You know where that recycling goes? It goes into a landfill. But we still have a separate recycling truck come to our house.
Well, some of them, okay. So I used to work in recycling, okay? So the only very specific bottles, there's a specific kind that does.
Even now they don't.
Well, those ones are now mostly collected by homeless people, okay?
Uh-huh.
My ex-girlfriend still recycled just because she knew people would pick out the ones. They could recycle all of it. It's not profitable. That's the reason they don't do all of it.
That's right. It's not profitable. Well, we used to send most of our recyclables to China. China stopped taking our recyclables, and so they just started putting them right in a landfill.
While we were going, how come China gets to be as big a polluter as they want?
So I think that it would be better use of our brain power to try to mitigate the effects of climate change, because it seems like it's not going to stop. I know they're not going to shut down 1,000 military bases. They're never going to stop blowing up pipelines. They're never going to stop having their wars. So I think we should put our brain power into hey, how do we by the way, why can I still get a 30-year mortgage on beachfront property in Miami? That doesn't make sense. Also, why is there more coral reef now than there were 10, 15 years ago? I thought it was supposed to all be gone.
Did you see somebody saying that might not be what that is? I glanced at it.
Oh, okay. So there's
there's some argument against. I know that.
Oh, okay.
But
so scratch that. We're gonna, we're gonna check the veracity of that coral reef story. So scratch that.
It shouldn't be this hard to get reliable information about
why is it so hard? Just like it was always so hard to get. What was the death rate from COVID? Couldn't get it. They always made it up, and now we find out it's infinitesimally low.
They take the same approach to any kind of thing, like any science thing. The media always takes the most wrong, sensational approach, and they see no problem with it. So remember the God particle, and the actual guy discovers like, please stop! I never should have said that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So What they're doing when you lie about climate science, like they just did,
It's like lying about masks.
it makes people not trust you, and you're gonna and now no, that's bad to do. And so my question, if everything is as horrible as they say climate wise, why do you have to lie about it then?
Because you're stupid and you have to be scared. That's what you do with stupid peasants. You scare them into what you want. Didn't everybody notice we're in feudal times? This is feudalism we live in.
I just don't. So that's really dumb. If you really care about fighting climate change and you lie about the science of it to bolster your point, that's dumb, because now you're the boy who cried wolf. And so we've been showing that, just like Al Gore said there wouldn't be any polar ice at the polar caps in the summer starting in 2013.
No, he just misrepresented some data.
He just lied. Just like that, just like Greta Thunberg saying if we don't stop in 5 years, we're doomed. All that stuff. This doesn't help.
Wait, you're saying a girl with a disability who didn't go to school?
Yes.
Her word's not helping.
That's
Okay.
right. So because of Russiagate and because of COVID and because of all this, I catch them lying now about climate. I don't trust what the establishment says about climate change, and I'm certainly not going to take any measures to try to combat it that the establishment tells me to, while the establishment continues to open military bases. They just opened 3 military bases in the Philippines this year, and they just opened one in Syria, a country we're occupying. So why? So we can extract the oil. And those are the same people telling me we should be afraid of climate change. I don't believe those people.
Well, I got great news for you, Jimmy. You don't get a choice. You'll eat those bugs.
Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.